Hi, this is Rudy Jones of PalmettoStateBaseball.com. Welcome to the South Carolina College Baseball recap for Friday, February the 27th. Of course, it's already Saturday the 28th because the Coastal Carolina game in Texas and the South Carolina Clemson game ran long. Coastal game was delayed because of some other games running long before it. USC game was delayed because of rain. But let's get to the action. Down at Founders Park, Josh Gunther struck out 10 Clemson batters in 7 innings, allowed 3 hits, and the Gamecocks went on to beat the Tigers 7-0 in the opener of their 3-game series at Founders Park. First game of the series at Founders Park. The other two are at different locations. Anyway, Gunther, like I say, allowed 3 hits, walked 1, as the Gamecocks snapped a 5-game losing streak against Clemson and improved to 73 on the season. It was Gunther's first start. He's a transfer from Wake Forest. He had 2 appearances this year, and in relief, one of them he kind of struggled. But the Gamecock fans will take it. Clemson really struggled on defense. They had 2 errors, 2 wild pitches, a passed ball, 3 walks from the starter, Aiden Canuck, and a hit batsman, and it was just not one of the Tigers' crisper efforts. Errors have been Clemson's major weakness so far, probably, even though they were 8-0. They made 10 errors in 8 games, or actually I think it was now 11 errors in 8 games, and they added 2 more errors tonight along with the other misplays. Also for the Gamecocks, KJ Scobie had 2 hits, drove in 2 runs. Ethan Liazma, had a couple of big plays for the Gamecocks. Again, Clemson didn't play very crisply. I don't know if the hour and 45-minute rain delay had anything to do with that. I'm sure Clemson wouldn't make an excuse. Aiden Canuck, not as sharp as he had been. He allowed his first 4 runs of the season in that game. But anyway, tomorrow's another day for the Tigers. They play at 3 o'clock at Segra Park. If I can find video from the coaches' interviews after the game, I'll post it at PalmettoStateBaseball.com. But we will go from there. How about other things going on Friday night in college baseball in South Carolina? Jacob Amon's 4th hit of the game, a single in the 10th inning, gave College of Charleston a 8-7 walk-off win over James Madison in the first pitch invitational at Fluor Field in Greenville. The Cougars improved to 4-6 in the game. Over in Rock Hill, Jalen Hernandez had 3 hits, including a 3-run homer and a 5-run 3rd inning. And he drove in 4 runs as Winthrop beat Maine by a score of 7-4 to extend its winning streak to 5 games. The Eagles are now 6-2 on the season. Down at the Bruce Bolt College Classic at Dakin Park in Houston, Texas had 12 hits, but 4 of them were home runs, and the Longhorns went on to beat Coastal Carolina by a score of 8-1 in the Chanticleers' first game. The Chanticleers were limited to 3 hits in the game. For them, Trace Mason, had a double and scored a run. The Chants fell to 6-3, as I mentioned. Over in up in Virginia, Casey Cleghorn pitched a 3-hitter, and Cougars snapped an 8-game losing streak as they beat Virginia Wise by a score of 6-1. The Cobras are now 2-13 overall, 2-5 in the South Atlantic Conference. At Wofford, Kenny Michael struck out 8 in 7 innings, and Wofford run-ruled St. Joseph 12-2 in 7 innings. The Terriers improved to 7-2. Erskine scored the game's final 9 runs and beat Emmanuel 9-6 to open a Conference Carolina series down at Franklin Springs, Georgia. That snapped a 5-game losing streak. The Fleet snapped the losing streak earlier. Erskine improved to 6-12 overall, 4-3 in the Conference Carolinas. Pierce Raggy had 3 hits for the Flying Fleet. Down at Newberry, Jacob Nestor of Emory and Henry shut out Newberry on 7 hits as the Wasps won the opener of that South Atlantic Conference series by a score of 3-0. Newberry fell to 9-7, including 5-2 in the conference. Emory and Henry improved to 5-8 and 3-4. Down in Jacksonville, North Florida fell behind PC 40-0, but roared back to win by a score of 15-6 down in Jacksonville. The Blue Hose suffered their 8th straight loss since winning the first 2 games of the season. For Presbyterian, James Green had a single, a double, a walk, a stolen base, 2 runs scored, and an RBI. UNC Pembroke beat Southern Wesleyan by a score of 7-4 to open that Conference Carolinas series. Luke Taylor had a single, a double, and a run scored for the Warriors, who fell to 5-11 overall, 2-5 in the conference. And then the final game played on Friday. There were several rainouts. I'll get to that later. Bryan beat Columbia International by a score of 20-7. The visitors actually scored 8 runs in the 9th inning alone, as they improved to 97 overall and 4-0 in the Appalachian Athletic Conference. Actually, Bryan lost his first 7 games and is down a 9-game winning streak. Columbia International fell to 3-18 and 1-7. Rams pitcher struck out 11, but they walked 14, unfortunately. Ian D'Amico had 2 doubles and a run scored for CIU. There were several games, as I mentioned, postponed. Brown at Charleston has been postponed for part of a Saturday doubleheader. Ditto for Claflin at Lander. The Citadel at Florida State. USC Aiken at Flagler postponed. USC Beaufort at Georgia College postponed. And USC Upstate at Georgia Southern postponed. In addition, Trinity College of Jacksonville's game at Bob Jones was canceled. They've already got a game scheduled for Saturday at noon at Conisty Park in Malden. And the Bruins are not going to play baseball on a Sunday. Well, how about the schedule for Saturday? Let's see what we got going on here. As I find it, I've got to go to the older post. I thought I had it called up. Anyway, Citadel and Florida State play their doubleheader starting at 11 a.m. down at Tallahassee. Benedict is at Kentucky State at noon for a doubleheader up in Frankfort. Brown is at Charleston Southern for a doubleheader at noon. Cougars at Virginia Wise at noon for a doubleheader. UNC Pembroke and Southern Wesleyan play a doubleheader at noon at Central. Trinity of Jacksonville, as I mentioned, is at Bob Jones for a noon doubleheader in Malden, or between Malden and Greenville. Bryan is at Columbia International for a doubleheader at noon. Carson Newman and Anderson are playing a doubleheader at 1. They moved their Friday game to Sunday. Emory and Henry is at Newberry for a doubleheader at 1. Erskine is at Emmanuel for a doubleheader at 1. USC Aiken is at Flagler for a doubleheader at 1. USC Beaufort is at Georgia College for a doubleheader at 1. They also moved their Friday game to Sunday. USC Sumter is at Gaston College for a doubleheader at 1 o'clock. Claflin and Lander play a single game at 2 tomorrow. They'll play 2 on Saturday. They'll play a doubleheader on Sunday. Johnston and Spartanburg Methodist play a doubleheader at 2 in Spartanburg. The opener was postponed until Sunday. They play a doubleheader on Saturday. Maine is at Winthrop at 2 o'clock. North Greenville and Francis Marion open a big series at Sparrow Stadium in Florence. Both teams are 14-1. Francis Marion is 6-0 in the Conference Carolinas. North Greenville is 5-1. The host Patriots have won 12 straight games, off to the school's best start since 2017. Francis Marion again, a doubleheader at 2. Presbyterian is at North Florida at 2 o'clock. USC Lancaster is at Florence Darlington Tech at 2. USC Upstate is at Georgia Southern for a doubleheader at 2 down at Statesboro. St. Joseph's is at Wofford at 3:30. And, of course, Clemson is at South Carolina at 3, against South Carolina at 3 o'clock at Segra Park in Columbia. In the Bruce Bolt Classic down in Houston, Coastal Carolina plays UT San Antonio at 4 o'clock. The Chanticleers are actually playing the top 3 teams in the RPI this weekend, so that's a pretty stout challenge for them. In other games down at the Bruce Bolt Classic, Ohio State's playing Ole Miss at 12:05. Baylor beat Ole Miss on Friday, by the way, and Baylor is playing Texas at 8:05. In the first pitch invitational at Fluor Field in Greenville, there'll be a triple header. College of Charleston tries to win its second straight game with a game against Illinois at 10 o'clock. James Madison plays Albany at 2 o'clock, and Albany turns around and plays Michigan State at 6 o'clock. And in the final game of the day on the schedule, in the HBCU Classic down at SRP Park in North Augusta, Morris plays Payne at 6 o'clock. For now, that's what we've got as far as schedule and results. You can always get updates at PalmettoStateBaseball.com or on my Twitter account of X at the handle of Palmetto Base. Hopefully the rain is out for a while, but if there are rain-related or weather-related changes, I'll try to get them posted as quickly as possible. Also, you can follow things going on in the state on my Facebook page or Facebook group, Palmetto State Facebook group. You can email me at rudyjones@palmettostatebaseball.com with your suggestions, compliments, or criticisms. I'm a big boy. I can take it. I'll be the first to admit I did not expect this game out of South Carolina tonight, but that's what makes baseball great. When you least expect something to happen, there's a very big chance it's going to happen. But anyway, as I said before, this is Rudy Jones of PalmettoStateBaseball.com saying, good morning, Jesus loves you.